Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video, and then I'll go back and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Hello, my name is Matt Clark, and I'm a lieutenant in the Denver Police Department's Major Crimes Division. This critical incident debriefing is intended to provide you with information regarding an officer-involved shooting that occurred in Northwest Denver on August 15, 2019. You are about to see relevant video footage and learn about other evidence and police procedures related to the case, so you have an understanding of the details of this incident. The use of deadly force by a police officer demands a thorough investigation be completed. The Denver Police Department is committed to ensuring a full and timely investigation of these serious incidents. This allows for a comprehensive examination of the officer's actions to determine compliance with state statutes and department policies. In accordance with legislation passed in 2015, the investigation of police shootings in Denver are conducted by a multi-agency investigative team made up of members from the Denver and Aurora Police Department homicide units, as well as the Denver District Attorney's Office. All critical incident investigations are actively monitored by the Office of the Independent Monitor. A word of caution. The images and information you are about to see may be disturbing. When a police officer uses force to arrest a suspect or defend against an attack, it can be graphic and difficult to watch. In addition, there may be strong language used by those shown in the video. Viewer discretion is advised. On Thursday, August 15, 2019, two uniformed patrol officers assigned to District 1 in Northwest Denver had just completed a call for service and prepared to meet at a nearby 7-Eleven at Colfax Avenue and Perry Street. Officer Ismael Lopez arrived first, entering the parking lot from the Perry Street side. Officer Lopez observed a dark-colored Jeep Patriot on the northwest corner of the building. Officer Lopez recognized this vehicle and was aware that it was involved in an eluding incident 2 days prior, on August 13, 2019, in the area of 8th Avenue and Knox Court. Officer Lopez positioned his fully marked police vehicle behind the Jeep and made contact with a male who was filling one of the vehicle's tires with air. Officer Lopez recognized the male was acting nervous. Due to this individual's behavior and Officer Lopez's knowledge of the prior eluding incident, Officer Lopez completed a cursory search of the male for weapons. During this search, Officer Lopez recognized the male had a syringe in his pocket and decided to detain him by placing him in handcuffs. While Officer Lopez was handcuffing the male, a female, 31-year-old Jamie Fernandez, exited the front passenger seat of the Jeep Patriot and began running east along the north side of the 7-Eleven. Ms. Fernandez ignored Officer Lopez's repeated commands to stop and stay in the vehicle. At this time, the second officer, Corporal Brandon Reyes, arrived at the 7-Eleven and entered the parking lot from the Colfax Avenue side. Without warning, Ms. Fernandez reached into her purse and produced a black handgun. Ms. Fernandez aimed the handgun in the direction of the officers and the male being detained. Ms. Fernandez fired the weapon one time as she continued moving to the east towards the north-south alley that runs between Osceola Street and Perry Street. It was at this time that both officers drew their handguns. Corporal Reyes fired several rounds while simultaneously moving east to the mouth of the Osceola Perry Street alley. Officer Lopez was still in the process of handcuffing the male when Ms. Fernandez shot at him. After being shot at, Officer Lopez pushed the male to the ground, moved to the east, and discharged his firearm multiple times, using a dumpster as cover. After shooting several rounds, Officer Lopez believed he heard gunfire continue from Ms. Fernandez. Officer Lopez reloaded his handgun and fired additional rounds after observing Ms. Fernandez continuing to hold the handgun off the ground while pointing it in his direction. Officer Lopez stopped firing when he observed the gun fall to the ground, and he believed Ms. Fernandez was no longer a threat. The officers immediately requested an ambulance respond to the scene. The officers approached Ms. Fernandez and located a .380 caliber Ruger handgun on the ground next to her. Officer Lopez moved this handgun several feet away so officers could assess and secure Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Fernandez was transported to an area hospital where she was later pronounced deceased. Following a police shooting, any officers involved in the incident are separated and assigned to a supervisor once the situation is stabilized. Involved officers remain in the company of the assigned supervisor throughout the initial investigation of the incident. Through the investigation, it was determined that a total of 30 rounds were fired by the officers. Investigators recovered a black .380 caliber Ruger LCP semi-automatic handgun at the scene. This handgun had a magazine capacity of 6 rounds and could carry 1 in the chamber. When recovered, there were no live rounds in the chamber or the magazine of the gun. In Ms. Fernandez's purse, a second magazine with 6 live rounds was located. It was determined the handgun Ms. Fernandez possessed was stolen in a criminal trespass to a motor vehicle in March of 2019. Detectives located 2 spent .380 cartridge casings that were forensically matched to the handgun recovered from Ms. Hernandez. One of the rounds that was fired by Ms. Hernandez was recovered from a business on the north side of Colfax Avenue. The officers and the male who was detained were in the path between where the round was fired and the business that was struck. The round that was recovered was forensically matched to the handgun recovered from Ms. Fernandez. The officers involved in this incident were both uniformed patrol officers assigned to District 1, Northwest Denver. Both were driving marked Denver Police Department vehicles. All officers assigned to uniformed patrol duties have been issued body-worn cameras. These devices are generally worn at chest level by patrol officers and are capable of recording both audio and video. Prior to being activated by the officer, the body-worn camera maintains a 30-second video buffer. Once the officer activates the camera, the 30-second buffer video is captured, and the camera starts recording both audio and video. It is important to note that a body-worn camera captures a general perspective of what is in the camera's view. However, this footage may or may not be what the officer actually saw or perceived. At times, an officer's movement or hand positioning may inadvertently block the camera's view. Additionally, the camera may not capture light in the same way as an officer's eye. Here are the complete body camera videos from the 2 officers involved in this incident. Again, viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Is this your car? Come here. Is this your car? Come here. Where you going? You don't have anything on you I need to be concerned about, do you? I'm gonna put. Don't stick your hands in. I'm just pat you down for your safety and mine. Okay, that's it. Interlace your fingers for me. Interlace your fingers for me. Like there you go. Separate your feet for me.
She's in the store, man.
Who's in the store?
The chick.
Who's the chick?
The chick who owns this car.
What's that?
The chick who owns this car.
What's in your pocket? Interlace your fingers for me.
Why are you grabbing me?
Huh? I'll let you know in just a second, okay?
Yeah, I understand. But
Hey, stay in the car. Stay in the car. Okay, grab her. Come here. Oh, shit! She's still up. Put her in the... Hold on, hold on. 6-1 Baker, we're at 1490 Perry. We need an ambulance. The car's code 10 now. Don't stay on the fucking ground. Don't fucking move. Watch it over there. Throw your gun out. Roll over. Roll to your side. Are you think so. 6-1 Baker. Suspect is down. No officers are injured.
Get out of there! Get!
And 6-1 Baker well with 515 Ocean X-Ray Ocean. And I need somebody to secure the 7-Eleven for me and hold everybody that's inside. Let's move in. Secure any females inside 7-Eleven. She's got the gun to the side over here. Come grab it if you can. Right here. Hook her up. Perry and Colfax, give me a block each direction. A block each direction everywhere.
You good, bro?
Yeah. It's that Jeep that eluded the gang unit last night, or 2 nights ago. Pour her arm out. Come with me real quick, come here. Yeah, come here. Stay on the ground, all right? Put a handcuff on him. Don't move. Put handcuffs on him, please. Are you shot? No? No, this is a separate incident, sir. Close that out, please. We got an ambulance coming, code 10 ready, got a party down. Stay right there. Yeah. There's no females in there? Okay. Just make sure nobody goes anywhere for me. Roll her over. Take Osceola Perry. Osceola Perry. Take the cuffs off of her. Here. Are you good, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, fuck yeah, I thought she almost got me, dude. She shot multiple times. I'm not even sure exactly where. She's got a lot of gunshot wounds. Secure the 7-Eleven, okay? On scene here is fine. We're not looking for anybody else. Hey, there's a guy that's... Where'd you put that guy? Put him in a car for me. Yeah, please. 6-1 Baker, I need somebody to go with the ambulance. Hey, can you check him? Come here. Turn around for me. Okay. All right, you're good. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Let me go off. Huh?
No holes in you?
I don't think so. She almost...
Okay.
Secure any females inside 7-Eleven. She's got the gun to the side over here.
Okay.
Come grab it if you can.
Where is it?
Right here. Hook her up.
All right, yeah, I got her.
Perry and Colfax, give me a block each direction.
Hold on.
A block each direction everywhere.
You good, bro?
Yeah. It's that Jeep that eluded the gang unit last night,
Okay.
or 2 nights ago. Come on. Come with me real quick.
Yeah. Okay. I got her. You get him.
Stay right there. Yeah. There's no females in there? Okay. Just make sure nobody goes anywhere for me. Roll her over.
Okay, got her.
Osceola Perry. Osceola Perry. Oh. Take the cuffs off of her.
Okay.
Here.
Thanks, bro.
Are you good, man?
Yeah, I'm good. You good?
Yeah, I thought she almost got me, dude. She shot multiple times. I'm not even sure exactly where. She's got a lot of gunshot wounds. Secure the 7-Eleven, okay?
All right. 1529 off camera.
Where'd you put that guy? Put him in the car for me.
The District Attorney's Office reviewed the details of this case and concluded that the officers acted in self-defense and defense of others. Further, the District Attorney concluded that their actions were justified under Colorado law. In the coming weeks, the Denver Police Department's Internal Affairs Bureau and Conduct Review Bureau will complete an administrative review of this case. The details of the case will then be presented to a Use of Force Review Board made up of community members and police command officers who will determine whether the officers' actions were in compliance with the high standards expected of every Denver police officer related to policies, training, and tactics. For additional information regarding the investigation of critical incidents, or to review the Denver Police Department's use of force policies, you may visit denvergov.org/police. Thank you for taking time to view this critical incident briefing.
All right, let's get into it. Drop the volume, and we'll go back to the not the very beginning, but pretty close.
Service.
All right, so this is the location where this occurred at. The officers were going to this gas station just by happenstance. They were completing a call, and they were going to go meet at the gas station. For all I know, they were going there to get coffee. And first one pulls in, and he starts to pull into a parking spot, notices the vehicle, and then pulls in right behind the vehicle, and that's where the action starts at. So just by pure luck, he happens to pull in behind this vehicle, and just a coincidence, just happenstance, right timing. The suspect, you know, it could have been something as simple as he got caught or he got stuck at a red light a block away or something like that. And that delayed him long enough to get to that gas station to pump his tires. If he would not have been stuck at a red light or two on the way there, he probably would have aired his tire up and left, and that officer would have pulled in after he'd gone. So that happens quite a bit in law enforcement and security work. Just fortunate and unfortunate timing. And it's always interesting how that works out. Because like I said, it could be something as stupid as being stuck at a red light that could either make or break something happening. So whatever this dude was doing before he decided to air his tire up, something happened to delay him long enough to where the timing worked out, where this officer got there in time to catch these people who had been doing some stupid stuff to begin with. Now, I thought that it had shown a better aerial view, and perhaps this is the aerial view that it starts to show.
It was at this time that both officers...
So you can see that a lot of this is residential area through this alley. Now, I don't know if this woman knew this area very well, or if that was the spot where she could see and she thought that that would be her best chance to disappear into. I'd say she probably had an idea of the neighborhood, probably knew that this alley would spill out into another street down here, or probably suspected, probably because she's done it before in the past, that she suspected that she could go down this alley and jump a fence or go through a yard and cut a corner really fast, go in between a house and cut another corner and hide somewhere, or just lose the officers by cutting corners really quick, getting through the cut. We'll go to her gun.
Semi-automatic handgun at the scene. This handgun had a magazine capacity of 6 rounds and could carry 1 in the chamber. When recovered, there were no live rounds in the chamber or the magazine of the gun. In Ms. Fernandez's purse, a second magazine with 6 live rounds was located. It was determined the handgun Ms. Fernandez possessed was stolen in a criminal trespass to a motor vehicle in March of 2019. Detectives...
So this gun was stolen from a vehicle, and I have talked about this multiple times about how if your gun is not on you, then it needs to be made inaccessible or inoperable. So people who leave their guns in their cars, I get it. Some places you're just not allowed to bring your gun into. Now, that brings up the question of, or the topic of, allowed versus able. For most places, you may not be allowed to carry a gun, but you are certainly able to. You may not be allowed, but you are able to. Something is this small. If you're carrying something this small, you can very well get away with carrying in almost any place of business that you work at. If you're having to leave the gun in your car, a locked glove box at minimum is what you should lock it in. You should not keep it in a center console that doesn't lock. You shouldn't put it in the little door compartment. you shouldn't just tuck it up under the seat. It needs to be made inaccessible or inoperable. So at a bare minimum, a glove box that can lock, or a gun safe made for a car. And this can be something like a simple lock box that has a steel cable on it, and you can tether that steel cable to the frame of the seat. That way it can slide up under the seat, but if they try to take it, it's tethered to the frame. It's not going anywhere. Those are some good options. So whoever left this gun in their car and it was easily stolen, that person could have almost very well gotten a police officer killed because of their negligence and their carelessness. She fired, well, I guess it doesn't have a slide lock on there. Well, it does because it's locked back, but she fired empty, and no rounds were found in the gun, but she shot. So she fired to slide lock for, I guess, whatever reason. The slide didn't lock back for her. Maybe the way it fell or something caused the slide to go back, or her thumb hit it and made it go forward.
Purse, a second magazine with 6.
She had to reload, and I guess whoever this gun was stolen from, they did have pretty good ammo in it. They had what looked to be good defensive ammo. I highly doubt that she went and bought this stuff or knew what to bought. Those people will typically buy the cheapest stuff. She had to reload. Highly doubt it was very easily accessible inside that purse of junk.
In a criminal trespass to a motor vehicle. Spent 380 cartridge casings that were forensically matched to the handgun recovered from Miss Hernandez. One of the rounds that was fired by Miss Hernandez was recovered from a business on the north side of Colfax Avenue. The officers and the male who was detained were in the path between where the round was fired and the business that was struck. The male who from a business on the north.
Oops.
One of the rounds that was.
No idea what this is. Looks like it's Southwest Alternative Care. I don't know what that would be. I would imagine that this is probably a business that is closed at night, probably only open during the day. So that's a good thing, because other than the bullet hitting the window, I mean, I have no idea where that bullet went past this point. There's no photos available. But, I mean, if there had been people in there, that bullet could have gone in there and hit those people.
And the business from Miss Fernandez, patrol officer, police department vehicles.
All right, we'll go into camera 1. So as I said, he's going to the gas station to meet up with a buddy after they get completed a call. For all I know, they're probably going there to get some coffee. It appears as though they work night. Now, he'll start to turn right to pull into a parking spot, and then boom, he decides to cut it to the left and pull in behind this vehicle. And so he went to this gas station with the intention of just getting, something, probably coffee. And he's pulling in, and whoop, something catches his eye, and he decides to go find out what this is, or get deeper into something. So, from this and watching the rest of the video, this officer, I would say, has their head switched on pretty good. They got a pretty good head on their shoulders, and they're switched on. They pay attention to things. They're very, I would say, proactive in the work that they do, or the work that he does. So he notices this vehicle. He pulls up right behind it and gets out. I like how he activates his camera as soon as he gets out of the vehicle.
Hey, what's up, man?
And then boom, he catches this guy by complete surprise. Let's see this again. And one more thing on the camera. So there are so many times where the camera footage starts so late into it. it's more of a habit that you got to get into to go ahead and just start rolling that camera as you get out. Too many people wait to turn it on, and I don't think that for the most part it's anything to do with people trying to avoid recording things. I just think it's people's lack of what's the word I'm looking for? Lack of, I guess, judgment. You know, they don't think about turning it on. So in this instance, this video, him having his camera on, he captured a lot that went on because the second officer, well, he didn't turn his camera on until the gunfight was over with. He had the same opportunity to turn his camera on like this guy did. He just didn't do it. And like I said, I don't think he did it on purpose to say, hey, I'm not going to record anything. I think it was just forgetfulness. He forgot to turn the damn thing on. And because the other guy forgot to turn his camera on, there's a lot that we don't get to see. And just imagine if none of them had their cameras on, how much harder it would be for to back up their stories or to show things that were going on. Anyway, so he did good on activating the camera, and we're going to see this guy with a surprised look one more time.
Hey, what's up, man?
He's like, oh shit. He jumps up real quick. He gets him by surprise, and it makes me wonder what would have happened if he had not caught this guy by surprise. What if he had was pulling in, and this guy had eyes on him and could see him? What would this guy have done while he was still in the vehicle pulling into the parking lot? Would he have jumped in the driver's seat real quick and took off? Would he have been in the vehicle, and would he have had his hand on the gun? Would he have had access to that gun? It seems like maybe the gun was hers because she had a reload in the purse. But that gun could have been out in the open in the cab of the vehicle, and as this officer was dealing with this guy, she could have just put the magazine for the gun and the gun in her purse while she was in the vehicle and getting ready to run. Don't know. But it really makes me wonder what this guy would have done had he not been taken by surprise. Because this guy has a squirrely little attitude about himself, as you'll see.
Come here. Is this your car? Come here. Where you going?
It's like he's wanting to take off. You can see he's backing away.
You don't have anything on you I need to be concerned about, do you? Don't stick your hands in it. I'm just patching you down for your safety and mine. Okay, that's it. Interlace your fingers for me. Interlace your fingers for me. There you go. Separate your feet for me.
She's in the store, man.
Who's in the store?
The chick.
Who's the chick?
Huh?
What's that?
The chick who owns this car.
What's in your pocket?
The chick who owns this car, that's who's inside. So this guy's full of shit. He's being deceptive. He's jittery. He's acting squirrely. I think it's to this officer's advantage that he just merely caught this guy by surprise and did not give this guy any opportunity to come up with a plan. I think had this guy saw the officer coming, I think this guy would have probably acted a lot different. A lot different. We can see the girl inside the car right here. We don't get to see a whole lot of her. We see her kind of lean back some, and then she leans back forward. She seems to be moving around inside the car, but this guy's blocking most of the view.
Hey, stay in the car. Stay in the car.
She decides to get out and start beating feet.
Hey, grab her. Come here. Oh, shit.
She, of course, ignores his commands.
Come here. Oh, shit.
She shoots at him, and the other officer, the other backing officer,
Come here.
we can,
Oh, shit.
well.
Come here. Hey, stay in the car. I'll let you know in just
All right, so we see headlights pulling in right here.
a second, okay? Yeah, I understand. Hey, stay in the car. car. Stay in the car.
And we see the brush guard to another vehicle right there. So the other guy pulls in pretty quick.
Stay in the car.
Boom, he's right
Hey,
there.
grabber.
Alright, yeah, you can see the front of the
Stay in the
vehicle.
car.
So I'll
Stay in
pause
the
it.
car.
You can see the push guard right there.
Hey, grabber.
Man, I can't pause it in time. But the other guy pulls in and she shoots. And the other officer from this vehicle here is the one who engages her first. He's the guy that ends up over here. So he shoots. I'm not 100% sure where exactly he is at. I believe that he's off to the left over here somewhere, either going down the sidewalk or is potentially in the road. I've backed this up multiple times, trying to catch a glimpse of him. I don't see him, so he's out of camera view. This officer gets up here to get in the fight. See it one more time. She's already on the ground at this point. Whenever I pause it, it gets blurry looking. You can't see very well. That's just the nature of the beast with the camera. His human eyes, however, he's able to see in a lot more clarity. He can see that she still has the gun in her hand and she's pointed towards him. He delivers multiple rounds. He takes a position where he is somewhat behind a dumpster. He's not fully behind it, but he is offsetting from cover here. So he's backed away from it. He's angled out a little bit. I would suspect that from her point of view, only thing she could see is probably a bright light and maybe a tiny sliver of his side sticking out here. But that's just, it's what I believe. I mean, I can't obviously show you what she could see from her point of view, but given that he's backed away from his cover, he's not crowding it, all she should see is probably a bright light and maybe a little bit of his head and maybe part of his arm out. Maybe from this angle, maybe she could see a little bit more. It's hard to say for sure, but with the angles and the distance involved, she probably shouldn't see much of him at all. He fires the slide lock. That is not very common. She still had the gun in her hand at this point. You can hear the other guy yelling, "Drop it." And she's in a position where the gun is actually pointed back towards them. So they really have no option but to use the amount of force that they did. You can fire from a position like this. This is called a fetal position. You typically use that kind of position to fire under a vehicle or under some other type of barricade where you would have to be on your side and aiming under something. And of course, the gun's pointed at him. She's got it in her hand.
This one Baker rep 1490 Perry. We need an ambulance and cars code 10 now.
After he fired his remaining rounds at her, not his remaining rounds, after he fired these last couple rounds at her, the gun came out of her hand. And that is when he stopped shooting.
Don't stay on the fucking ground. Don't fucking move. Don't stay on the fucking ground. Don't fucking move.
I'd imagine that he's yelling at the guy over here at the Jeep that he had initially dealt with.
Watch it over there. think so. 6-1 Baker. Suspect is down. No officers are injured.
I don't know who he's yelling to. I think it's someone who came out in the alley.
With 515, 7-Eleven.
Not sure because
Let's move
we
in.
don't get to see it on his camera because his camera wasn't on.
Inside 7-Eleven. She's got the gun to the side over here. Come grab it if you can.
The clarity is not the greatest.
Right here.
We see a lot of splashback from the white light.
Right
Let me pause it just right.
here. Right here.
Her hand is right there, and the gun is right here. Oops. So it was initially in her hand,
Right here.
pointing at them, and then he dropped it.
Hook her up. Perry and Colfax, give me a block each direction.
This officer initially
A block each direction.
starts to go hands-on with her to cuff her, and then he realizes that he needs to put gloves on. And anytime you're dealing with a person that has bodily fluids, you need to assume that they have the worst thing possible. You need to assume they have AIDS, they have hepatitis, something. Typically, bad guys, or bad girls in this case, don't make the greatest decisions in life, henceforth, why they're bad guys. They also may not make the best decisions when it comes to sex. They may have lots of unprotected sex with questionable people. They may use needles that other people have used. You just have to assume that that's probably the case. And you have to assume that they have something. So you need to put your gloves on. Wear your BSI, body substance isolation. You got to have your PPE. You don't want to bring anything home. You don't want to catch anything. So he takes his time. He gets his gloves on. If it takes you a minute to get your gloves on, then you know what? It takes a minute to get your gloves on. Who cares? In this kind of scenario where the person's down, it don't look like they're moving or getting back up. Take your time. Like, get your gloves on. If they're bleeding out while you're putting your gloves on, then you know what? So be it. That person brought it upon themselves to get shot. They did this. They can sit there and bleed out while you put your gloves on. You need to go home clean. You don't need to go home with AIDS or hepatitis.
Yeah. It's that Jeep that eluded the gang unit last night, or 2 nights ago. Poor arm.
So the very bright lumens on his pistol light, whenever he bends down, kind of causes some splashback or flare on the camera, and it kind of takes it out of focus and we don't see very well. Now this person right here, I have the feeling that this guy is probably a security guard, just based on his body language,
Stay on the ground.
his uniform,
Put a handcuff on him.
and his equipment, or rather lack thereof. I just don't have the feeling that he's law enforcement. His drop leg holster is super short, or I guess rather super long. It hangs very low. Then again, there are some law enforcement who've worn their drop leg holsters like this. He doesn't have a whole lot going on the duty belt here. I don't see a whole lot of pouches. It doesn't appear as though he's wearing a vest. He's got an American flag patch here and what seems to be some type of logo patch on the other arm. The black hat, just the color of the uniform. I just don't think this guy's the police. I think he's probably more security guard. I could be wrong,
Come here.
but it's also based off
Come with me real quick. Come here.
how this officer interacts with him and tells him.
Come with me real quick. Come here. Yeah, come here.
It's just that interaction, way he talks to him, tells him to put the handcuffs on him, way he's dressed, just makes me think this guy's security guard, not the police.
Are you shot? No? No, this is a separate incident, sir. Close that out, please. We got an ambulance coming, code 10 ready, got a party down. Stay right there. Okay. Just make, yeah. There's no females in there? Okay. Just make sure nobody goes anywhere for me. Roll her over. Take it. Osceola Perry. Osceola Perry. Take the cuffs off of her.
So this guy kind of has, you can see the Rolodex moment in his head. So I say this sometimes, the Rolodex moment, like there's a Rolodex in his head and he's flipping through all these pages trying to, find the right response or whatever. When he tells him to take the cuffs off, this guy's thinking, how am I going to get these cuffs off? How am I going to get my handcuff key out when I got blood over my gloves? And he just kind of has this Rolodex moment, the dumbfounded look. And he's like, And of course the guy hands him his handcuff key.
Are you good, man? Yeah, multiple times. I'm not even sure exactly where. She's got a lot of gunshot wounds. On scene here is fine. We're not looking for anybody else. Hey, there's a guy that's. Where'd you put that guy? Put him in a car for me. Hey, there's a guy that's. Where'd you put that guy? Put him in a car.
Yeah, and then you can see this guy again.
Hey,
He
there's
just
a guy
doesn't have a whole lot going on with his
Put him in a car
uniform.
for me. Yeah, please.
All right, so he ends his camera.
6-1 Baker, I need somebody to go with the ambulance.
Well, never mind. He's still talking on the radio.
Hey, can you check him? Come here.
So he's checking him for injuries. It's happened before in the past where people have been shot and they did not know that they were shot. They had so much adrenaline and endorphins pumping during the fight that them being shot did not register in their head. And they only found out later when someone pointed out they were bleeding, or they could see the blood, or they started to feel a little bit of the pain afterwards when the adrenaline endorphins were starting to wear off. So it's always good practice to check your people and check yourself and have someone check you for any type of injuries in the aftermath of a gunfight, because someone could have a hole in them that they weren't born with, and it needs to be dealt with, and they might not know about it. So always check your people, check yourself. The backdrop to where you've been shooting at needs to be checked as well. The backdrop over here, of course, at this angle was shooting at the ground. Doesn't mean a round couldn't have ricocheted and gone into a house over here. So these houses in the direct opening from where they were shooting at, those need to be checked as well. Contact needs to be made with those people to make sure that no one took a stray round. Now we'll see the second guy's camera. And his camera starts pretty much when the gunfight's ended. For whatever reason, for whatever reason, he didn't turn his camera on after he got out of the vehicle. I would say because everything happened so quick, he didn't have time to turn it on.
Okay.
Secure any females inside 7-Eleven. She's got the gun to the side over here.
Okay.
Come grab it if you can.
Now, as they make that approach, you can see some obvious gunshot wounds on her.
Where is it?
She has what looks to be one here and here. It's possible that she's got one there. I kind of think maybe that's an exit wound, like maybe one went in here and went straight out there. There's some what appears to be blood right there that would kind of maybe support that theory.
Yeah, I got it.
Hurry and pull fast. Give me a.
Now, when he's reaching down to her, it appears as though there's a fluid of some sort on her back right here.
Block each direction.
You see it when the light hits it.
Hurry and
See it
pull
again.
fast. Give me a block each
Right in there. And then there's another kind of fluid right down in here. I'm not really sure what that clear fluid is. At first I thought maybe it was like cerebral spinal fluid. I don't think that's what that is. Could be wrong. But we see a mix of that and some blood. So, not sure what the clear stuff is. It could either be cerebral spinal fluid, it could be maybe some of that fluid that's in between the joints, like the elbow area, because you do see one pretty gnarly exit wound right above her elbow area. It's kind of right in there. And there is a lot of that fluid on the outside of her arm right here. So I'm not sure what the white fluid is.
Yeah. Okay. I got her. You get him.
And it could be something that was in her purse that got hit and sprayed everywhere. I don't really know what it is. You see an exit wound right there on the arm. Pretty big chunk right there.
Stay right there. There's no females in there. Roll her over.
Okay, got her.
It also appears as though maybe she took a round in there, through the side right there. And then it's hard to really fully tell from the front because we don't see a full frontal. But we obviously can see some blood pooling to the front right here. So I'd say she probably took some rounds in the front chest as well.
Osceola Perry. Oh. Take the cuffs off of her.
Okay.
Now, the cuffing aspect.
Are you good, man?
One, when he was cuffing her, Personally, I think that he should have just pulled the purse off of her. Now you can cuff, and then you can cut the straps with a knife if you need to. In this instance, she obviously was not resisting arrest any while he was putting the cuffs on or attempting to put the cuffs on. So I think it would have been a lot simpler if he just would have pulled the purse off of her and then put the cuffs on her. But the reason why you see the police cuff people after they've been shot is because sometimes people get back up after they've been shot, especially when you're dealing with pistols. Pistol ammunition just kind of sucks. It's not as nice as rifle cartridge. Rifle cartridges will put people down fast and hard. You don't see too many people walking away after being shot with a rifle. You do see a lot of people walking away after being shot with pistol. Why do we carry pistols all the time? Because they're a hell of a lot more comfortable and convenient than carrying around a rifle. You can carry a pistol 8, 10, 12, 16 hours out of the day, and it's comfortable. It's convenient. You don't think much about it. Try carrying a rifle around for just 4 hours out of the day. That shit gets old. It's not comfortable. It's not convenient. So that's why we carry pistols all the time. And pistol ammunition just is not as good as rifle. That's why I always say, if you know you're going to a gunfight, bring friends with rifles. There's a case from Miami, Florida that's referenced a lot in firearms training and law enforcement training. Back in the 80s, FBI was hunting down a couple of bank robbers / armored truck robbers, and they got visual on them. There's going to go back a traffic stop on them, and a gunfight started when they stopped them. One of the bank robbers took a round to the head, temporarily knocked him out, and he was able to wake back up during the gunfight, crawl out of his car, and then get into an FBI agent's vehicle and attempt to take off. His partner, he took a fatal wound to the side of his chest. That round went in through his chest and hit his heart area, but it did not immediately incapacitate him. He was able to crawl the rest of the way out of his vehicle, engage the FBI in a gunfight, kill 2 agents, and seriously wound a few others. And while he was doing this and getting into the FBI agent's car to take off in it, he was shot multiple times with pistol and even took some shotgun pellets. And he was able to do all that. And so there's been plenty of times where people have been shot with pistols, and they were either able to get back up after being shot while they were somewhat incapacitated or had the appearance of being incapacitated, or they were shot and all along they were physically capable of still being in the fight, but after being shot they were temporarily mentally incapacitated. There was so much pain going on, they were scared, but as a little bit of time elapsed, they got a little bit more mental confidence, and then they started to fight again. So it's a whole lot harder to fight when your hands are cuffed behind your back. So that's why you see the police handcuff people after they've been shot. They could get back up, and if they do get back up and try to fight some more, it's a hell of a lot harder for them to do that when their hands are cuffed behind their back. Who would you rather fight? Someone with or without handcuffs on?
Yeah, I'm good. You good?
Yeah, I thought she almost got me, dude. She shot multiple times. I'm not even sure exactly where. She's got a lot of gunshot wounds.
All right. 1529.
And that's the end of seeing her anymore. So not much really to talk about anymore in this video. Unfortunately, we don't get to see a whole lot from the second officer's camera view because he turns it on so late into the game. The first officer, he turns it on as he's getting out of his vehicle, and he captures the entire incident the way the body camera was meant to do so. He's lucky, very lucky, that when she got out and fired that round at him, that she missed. She could have very easily shot him as she was walking away, shooting towards him.
Okay, grab her. Come here. Oh, shit.
The use of force was acceptable, in my opinion. I don't believe that they violated anyone's rights during this. She asked for it. She brought this upon herself. She shot at them, and she didn't do a good job, and they did a better job. So that's the case for the majority of these things. These bad guys, they bring it upon themselves. I think they did everything legally right. I don't think the force used was excessive. They shot to stop the threat, and when she still had a gun in her hand, she was still a threat. When that gun came out of her hand, he stopped shooting. That's reasonable. Tactics, I think, are okay. He utilizes cover. He keeps his weapon mounted light turned on while he's engaging the target. He doesn't turn it off when he backs further behind cover to reload. I'm okay with that. I mean, it's all super bright out anyway. Not super bright, but there's a lot of light in the area anyway. I kind of doubt that him having his weapon mounted light on during the reload is going to matter a whole lot out there where they're at. But I mean, tactics look good. The approach looks good. The only thing we don't see them do is provide medical care. And I'm okay with that too. They may have, been able to see with a lot more clarity than what we could see through the camera that she was obviously dead and there was no amount of first aid that they were going to be able to give to her. And the timing, they just didn't have the amount of time to be able to start providing that care. They still had the other guy that had to be taken care of, put in cuffs and secured. The rest of the scene was needing to be secured. There's a lot of moving parts going on, and they just didn't have the time to start medical care right away. It seemed like they were about to start some medical care when he was talking about taking the handcuffs off, but I think that was about the same time the ambulance was rolling up. So what they were going to be able to do for her medical wise, I don't know, because we didn't get to see any of that. So I have no idea if they had medical gear on them or if they just keep it in the car. But this is something that you need to think about in terms of medical gear. If you're going to carry the tools to induce trauma, you should carry the tools to reduce trauma. What if she had hit him with one of her bullets or his partner? What kind of medical care would he be able to provide? Does he have a tourniquet on him? Does he have compressed gauze on him to be able to pack a wound with? Does he have a pressure bandage to put on? Does he have a nasopharyngeal airway to help get an improved airway on a person? Does he have the training to be able to utilize that stuff? You can carry some very basic medical equipment on you, and it won't take up a whole lot of room. You can fit a tourniquet, compressed gauze, a little bit of duct tape, nasopharyngeal airway, some gloves, a decompression needle, into a very small package. And you can actually buy that from a vendor, and you can put that in the pouch of a medical ankle holster and carry that with you all the time on your ankle. You can get another style of kit to put in that medical ankle holster. You can buy a medical ankle holster that has all kinds of stuff in it. It's already pre-stocked with things. You can carry chest seals in there. You can carry a pair of shears. You can carry a lot in a medical ankle holster. I have a video on a medical ankle holster. Highly recommend you go check it out. If you don't, then you can certainly keep that kind of stuff in a cargo pocket. If you have an agency where or a company where you get to wear an outer vest that has pouches on there, and you can put whatever pouches you want on there, there's really no reason why you shouldn't have medical gear on you. If you have that kind of real estate, certainly you can put a knife pack on there somewhere. The medical gear that you carry on you is your first line medical gear, and it should be solely for you, your team, and your family. And you should be very cautious about using it on other people after a gunfight that you've been involved in, because you have no idea if there's going to be some more fighting involved. So if, in this instance, let's say, they're in a shootout with her, his partner goes down, he's been shot in the leg, he's got a femoral artery bleed, he needs to put a tourniquet on him. Boom, he puts the tourniquet on his partner, and something else happens. Well, there's only one tourniquet in play, so you're going to carry that tourniquet. You need to encourage your coworkers to also get tourniquets. Some agencies are buying these and giving them to people, and that's great. But some places, the agencies just can't afford it, and they're not. And so some people will carry one. They'll go spend the money and get one, and they'll carry it. But other people on the team won't. So encourage those other people to do it. These groups that will come to these agencies and provide food. They'll bring donuts or candy or some other kind of food to the station. Bring catered lunch. When those folks come by, certainly thank them for what they're doing, but maybe try to have a conversation and be like, we appreciate all this food, but what we could really use is some tourniquets. Like we need to give all of our officers some tourniquets. So instead of buying us donuts that we really don't need, can you buy some tourniquets? Obviously, saying it like that probably is not the best way to do it, but someone is a good talker, and someone would be able to convey that to those people who bring donuts and food down to the station. If they can go blow the money on that, they can certainly go blow the money on some tourniquets. The mindset of your first line gear being used for you, your teammates, or family. If you, for example, got into this gunfight, she went down, she was alive, she was bleeding from the leg, and you go put this tourniquet on her, and then boom, the guy starts to shoot and fight, and you or your partner gets hit. If that one tourniquet is the only tourniquet in play, what are you going to do? Are you going to take that tourniquet off of her and go put it on yourself or put it on your partner? I wouldn't I wouldn't think any less of you if you did. But the courts may have a wall with that. But you certainly want to encourage your teammates to carry the medical gear too, if they're not already, and try and get some funding in place to get these things. Your second line medical gear can be medical gear that's kept in your vehicle, all your supplemental stuff that's going to back you up on your first line stuff. So it could be something as simple as a bag that just has a couple extra tourniquets in there, some more pressure bandages, some gauze pads, some more tape, maybe some additional nasopharyngeal airways, or maybe even some oral airway adjuncts in there. Something a little bit more, maybe some more bulk stuff that you wouldn't be able to fit into a ankle holster or wouldn't be able to fit into your pocket. And that second line medical gear is what you're going to use to supplement the gear that's on you and you've already used on your partner or yourself. And the second line medical gear is the stuff that I would recommend that you use on other people. Your scope of practice when it comes to medical care, obviously most places are going to have at bare minimum some type of first aid and CPR training. And depending on where you're from, what area you're in, that training can be hit or miss. You can have, so a lot of places, what they'll do, an agency will take someone who's of rank or who's been there for a while and is probably going to be there, for quite some time after they've been made an instructor. But they'll take someone who's of rank, usually, someone working in the office, and they'll send them to an instructor school to become an instructor in something. Because it's a whole lot easier to take that person and schedule them to do a class versus someone who's working the street or working a post. You got to worry about staff coverage for that person that you're now taking out of rotation to go teach a class, worrying about the overtime, etc. So a lot of places, they'll just take an office person, send them to instructor school, and have them teach classes. Not every person of rank or works in the office is a qualified or competent instructor. Just because someone's been through an instructor school doesn't mean they're competent at what the hell they're doing. Plenty of people who fit that bill, who've gone to instructor school, or they're not real instructors, and the classes they teach are complete shit. So you may have had a first aid class, but the person who taught it to you may have not done a very good job. So I would highly recommend seeking out some additional training if you feel like you didn't get a whole lot of good training on that. Seek out some additional training. Usually your volunteer fire departments post schedules and stuff like that of when they're having training. Sometimes there are some EMT classes or emergency medical responder classes being held at volunteer fire departments. Getting with them and finding out who the lead instructor is, talking to them, and you can kind of maybe slide in on a class when they're doing trauma care one day or something like that, and get some additional training. Or your ambulance provider or your air ambulance provider, like Air Evac or Stat Care or whatever name your helicopter ambulance goes by. Get with them, and they may have instructors who teach, and they could put on a pretty decent class for you to be able to teach you how to use the tourniquets and stuff like that. So, there's ways to get the gear, and there's ways to get the training. Speaking about getting the gear, if you work the streets, chances are you probably come across the same paramedics or same firefighters from time to time in your area, and talking to them, you can get some free stuff from them. Tell them, hey, I'm trying to get my trauma bag built up. I need some gauze pads and some tape and some gloves and a bag valve mask. You know what? They'll probably be able to give it to you. Most certainly the gauze pads and stuff like that. Most likely, I'd say they'd probably be able to give you a bag valve mask and maybe even a face shield or something like that. It'd be nothing for them to do that. All they got to do is go back to their station or their hospital, wherever their restock stuff is, and restock the truck. The bean counters, they don't count the gauze pads They might count maybe things like bag valve masks and stuff like that, but other little things, they're not counting it. So you can get some free stuff off the trucks to stick in your bag and build that bag up. And you can get with your ambulance provider in your area or your air ambulance provider in your area, see who their instructors are, see if they can teach a class, or even look at your volunteer fire department's training schedule and see whenever some additional first aid classes are being taught there, and see if maybe the person teaching theirs can do a better job than the person who taught yours. There's ways out there to get that knowledge. You just have to be eager enough to go get it. Not much else to say about this. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.